Hello, and welcome to the Albright Scholar for December 2022. My name is John Pankratz. I teach history at Albright, and each month it's my privilege to welcome BCTV viewers and residents of Greater Reading to take a glimpse inside our learning community up on North 13th Street, to look at the work being done by teachers and students, and to think about its impact on all of us. Well, it's December, and I think many people are in a celebratory mood. I know that my colleagues are back in their offices grading final exams and final seminar papers, and I'm taking a break to record a program for you. December, when I think of it, I do think of the holidays, and I think what better way to celebrate the holidays than by singing. And it's my privilege today to welcome one of my new colleagues at Albright, the Director of Choral Activities at Albright and Professor of Music, Dr. Derek Thompson. Derek, welcome to the Albright Scholar.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Right, and welcome to Reading. We're looking out on Reading, Penn Street, right here. Well, I wanted to have you on in December because the holiday concert at the end of classes is always a high point of the musical year.
That it is.
And you just had a wonderfully successful concert on Saturday, well attended, beautifully performed, and I think it made many, many people happy.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it was such a joy. Well, let's talk a little bit about your background, so people know some of the many experiences that you bring to Albright. Your education has taken place in multiple locations.
Yeah. So I did my undergrad at Lynchburg College, which is home for me, Lynchburg, Virginia.
Yeah.
I did vocal music education. There allowing me the opportunity to, study music ed, work on my voice, being able to go out into the school systems and kind of really work with those who inspired me back home, which was one of the main reasons why I stayed close to Lynchburg College.
Yeah.
From there, I went to Morgan State University where I got my master's in music. Vocal performance was the primary, but I also studied a little bit of piano, enough to kind of get me through those rehearsals.
Yes.
And conducting as well there. And then I decided that I was going to, take a moment and work, not knowing what that opportunity would bring. And so I, ended up, being in China for a year.
Wow.
And then I came back to the States wanting to pursue my doctorate. And so I ended up going about, 4 or 5 years after coming back teaching in the States. I decided that, okay, it's now time to apply for the doctorate and let's get this thing going.
Yes.
And so I ended up going to Teachers College, Columbia University, receiving another master's and doctorate in music and music education.
How fabulous, how fabulous. Yeah. You mentioned a year in China. I remember as a very little boy learning that music was the international language.
Yes.
That's before I even knew what a language was, I think.
Certainly.
But there's a sense in which it's really true, right?
Oh my gosh.
What did that Chinese experience do for you?
Having that experience, I think, really brought the meaning of music being world-round, Of course, being here in the States and we're learning different languages and we're talking about the music that we're performing. But being able to have that cultural experience in China, working with 150 students that many of them don't speak English.
Right.
And having for me to navigate that as someone that doesn't speak Mandarin. And how do you go about that? Having a translator to help me and, my students and I eventually finding a way to communicate with each other, but having the music serve as that main point.
That is the medium, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that there alone, when I came back to the States, had a new meaning for me, of being able to communicate with my ensembles here and being able to have them to tell the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that Chinese classical singing sounds different from Western traditions, doesn't it? Does that carry over into choral music as well?
It does. So even in the choral music that we worked on, so during the summer there, they have a really big festival And so, it's all Chinese, foreign, music, well, foreign for me, folk music for them. And so that was a big learning curve for me going in, because the students I wasn't teaching them, they were teaching me.
Oh.
And so that was a big, learning experience and difference. And so that carried over into their singing as well. And so being able to how to navigate that, how do you work through their traditions, and being able to teach Western style music still.
Yeah.
And so that, gosh, so many layers that I know that I could still grow and build on, but we made it work.
Right. And those experiences, those international experiences, I think just stick with you. And even when you're back home, you're a different person.
Certainly.
And so you know different questions to ask and different goals to aim for.
That is for sure.
How great. I know you've had a very nice first semester, and I think that's partly because of the search process we went through.
Yeah.
That you don't just look at a resume and sign someone up. You auditioned with the group, and you spent a good day with various choral ensembles at Albright, and
Certainly.
worked with them, and they got to know you and they got to like you.
Right.
So even before you were hired, they were sort of on your side.
Yeah, and that plays a big part in what we do. I definitely think for the arts, it's a whole nother level, because the students and your colleagues have to see what is it that you can do. And I don't think a piece of paper can tell you all the things. You could have the greatest CV in the world, but that doesn't mean that you can necessarily teach, or put on performances. They have to see you in action.
Yep.
And also for me, I think that was one of the biggest selling points for myself. While I was the one being interviewed, for me that was a learning experience of the campus, the student body, the faculty staff as well. And yeah, oh gosh, I have no words.
Right. It's true. I mean, I've followed choral singing at Albright now for 35 years, and just over the decades, some of our very finest, most engaged students, not just in music, because we don't have a music performance major here.
Right.
So most people are singing because they love it.
Exactly.
And it adds to their intellectual and social development. And that's been the case, and I think that's the case this year as well.
For sure.
Just outstanding human beings are part of our vocal ensembles.
Oh my gosh. From all across the campus.
Yeah. All majors.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like we were just saying, how music speaks, to be able to communicate and bring everyone together, that's a clear sign of showing the diversity of our choral ensemble on the campus, from all across the campus coming together to make one voice.
Yeah. My sense is that it's going to grow as well. I think the buzz is out there. I think the attendance at the concert was great, and I think there are people who are saying, can I reschedule my football practice in order to join one of the choral ensembles?
Well, if they are, they should.
Yeah, I think they
second
should
that.
too. Yeah, you heard it here, Jose, right? We're talking about you, man.
That's all right.
We should. You gave a concert in October, right? And that was more popular music and such.
It was. Geez, yeah, my brain is kind of lagging up. You finish one concert and it's right on to the next.
I know,
one.
it
So
is,
trying
yeah.
to remember even what the theme and process was for October.
Yeah, but your the holiday concert certainly focuses on the holidays, and I suppose focuses on Christmas.
Yeah.
As you programmed pieces, what were some of your thoughts and what were some of your goals with the ensembles?
So, still being in my first semester, one of the things for me is really finding out what the students are capable of doing.
Yeah.
And making sure to try to push them a little bit more. So the October concert, of course, coming in, it's like, okay, we're gonna keep it simple,
Accessible.
accessible. That's a great word for it. And then the December concert, I'm saying, okay, we're going to add a little bit more to this. So vocally, what will challenge them, but a way that they can still succeed.
Yeah.
On top of that, keeping with the theme, thinking of, the theme. I wanted Carols by Candlelight was the theme, and so I wanted to make sure that we had familiar tunes, we had some stuff that wasn't so familiar.
Right.
I always love to mix up the language. So we had a couple of African songs, we had Latin, and I believe those were the languages for this performance. And so I tried to evolve on those as we go throughout the year. And then just trying to find what would be the right mix of rep for each group, but different as each group presents itself. And so that's the thought process there. I always say, usually I start with not having a theme and just picking a bunch of things.
Yeah.
And it was a little tough for me this time, having to already had the theme picked before the semester started, because we wanted to get information out to everyone.
Right.
And then I had time to pick the music, so it was a lot harder for me this time. But oh gosh, the way that it presented itself, it was wonderful.
I really love the selections. I know the choral directors and choral arrangers love taking a traditional, well-known tune and then reshaping it and twisting it around in this kaleidoscopic way. And sometimes they really go far afield.
That they do. That is for sure.
But I thought the arrangements that you presented allowed the core song or tune that so many of us know to ring true, but then also, as you said, tested the vocal abilities and all those little slight modulations and rehearing the intonation and everything in just the right way.
Certainly.
We do have a sample to share with people, and you mentioned that you included several carols in African languages.
Yes.
And the one that we have queued up is called Noel.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
A wonderful piece. There's so many different arrangements of Noel, which I'm sure you know. But gosh, there was something about this one. Something about this one.
Yeah, and you'll see it in the students' faces as well.
For sure.
Good. There we go, and the applause continued.
Oh my gosh, that it did.
It was a
yes.
wonderful response from the audience to really
gosh.
all the pieces. I should mention that you have a recording up on YouTube of the entire concert, right?
Yes. I wanted to make sure, for the students and the families who, some who live far away and can't
That's
make
right,
it.
couldn't make it.
So wanted to make sure that, everyone could find a recording of it and get to it. So you will certainly enjoy it, that's for sure.
Yeah, so people could look up on YouTube Dr. Derek Thompson, or they could look up the
Carols
Albright
by
Choral-
Candlelight.
Carols by Candlelight. Great.
Albright College, Carols by Candlelight.
And you'll get to see that.
Yeah.
The group singing Noel here was our mixed a cappella
Yes.
specialists,
Yes,
right?
yes. So that's our mixed group out of the 5 choral ensembles. That is the mixed a cappella ensemble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, wonderful group of students, talented. I believe that group is about 22 students, and it just amazes me every time we get together of what they're capable of doing. And then just being able to split them into smaller groups, their essay group or their TB group, and pull those sounds out of them. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And you've done some traveling, right, with the a cappella groups? as well?
We did take the soprano alto group Leo Corum. We went down to Sweet Sensations towards Harrisburg area.
Okay.
And that particular festival is a middle school women's choral festival. And so when they reached out to me, they said, "Hey, we have this women's festival, and we're looking for a group." And I said, "Well, we have a soprano alto group that we can bring for you." And they loved it. We presented one of the pieces from this concert, and then some stuff from the October concert as well. And so that's my goal, is to get them out there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's wonderful for the broader community to hear the kind of concentration of talent and training that's happening at Albright, but then also to invite people to put
campus.
Albright on their radar and to think about it 2 years from now or 4 years from now. And
That's right.
As a destination for them.
Yes. Or even next semester. Right away, bring them on, right away.
Bring them on, certainly as an audience member.
That's right. That's
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Now you're teaching classes as well, in addition to conducting these 5 different ensembles.
So this semester are all ensembles. Next semester I will be teaching a lecture course, Listening to World Music. And so that will, take us through from Renaissance to present day.
Wow.
So I'm looking forward to that. It's something about being in front of the group in a choral rehearsal, but it's also something about being in the classroom, because oftentimes with courses like that, you're meeting students who are not music majors, a more diverse group of students, usually first-year students. So what better way to, kind of capture them as soon as they step foot on campus? And my goal is, not to turn them into, hard, boring music, but to have an appreciation for it. And so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Looking forward to
well,
that.
welcome to that very important work of
Yeah.
teaching general education courses
Oh, yeah.
at a liberal arts college. I love it as well. I mean, certainly more than half of my students are not history majors.
Right.
They're biochemistry majors or psychology majors or religious studies or something else. And yet, I think what I have to share in my classes is of lifelong significance. And I know that music is going
Right.
to be. I mean, I've kept music alive in my own life
For sure.
for a long time now,
Certainly.
a very long time, and it's absolutely essential
Oh, yeah.
to who I am. I mean, when people ask what's the benefit of a liberal arts education, I say, well, you'll just enjoy life much more than you otherwise would.
Certainly, and I mean every institution that I attended was a liberal arts institution, and there was a reason for it. Just being able to have, to me, it brought different views. Being able to have, the hands-on experiences, maybe not just in music, but in my other courses, my gen ed courses. Oh gosh, I could go on about every institution, but yeah.
And that relationship with between teacher and student.
Certainly.
That's such a big thing. And
Certainly.
establishing that communication, that affection, and that trust as well. That's, I think Mr. Rogers said something about
Mr.
that.
Rogers,
That we learn from people who care about us.
Certainly, for sure.
That's the kind of setup we have. Now, and of course, on world music, literally you're going to span the globe in terms of the musical traditions?
We are. We're gonna, I'm still working on outlining that course, how I'm going to go about it. But we're gonna go from as far back as we can and make our way to present day, which, present day I'm sure will be the hit for them because, that's many of them after they may know of Mozart and Beethoven and or heard
even
little
the Beatles?
pieces. Or even the Beatles. There we go. So being able to go back and find a correlation between present day and the past, and how does music make a difference for us today? What does that look like? So I'm looking forward to that. I'm still planning that out in my head and taking notes as I go along of like,
Right.
what will this look like?
Yeah, course creation is always a challenge, but it's also a lot of fun.
It
because
is.
to
It
build
is.
up something and anticipate the degree of interest and the kinds of interests that a student might find, and then let them surprise you when the course is actually
Exactly.
being
Yes.
taught.
For sure.
With yeah, and then the other thing, we're having an online debate at school, or discussion really, of artificial intelligence and its potential impact on education.
Yeah.
But I think in the areas of the performing arts, while a lot of things are computer aided, there's nothing that takes the place of drawing meaning out of yourself and making sounds that communicate that meaning.
Certainly. There's a connection with the arts where I feel that you have to have that true self, or your presence has to be there. Even watching recorded performances compared to sitting there in the space, and the difference that makes. I shared during the concert on Saturday, during the dress rehearsal, how I said that they made my eyes water, but just being able to have that moment of thinking of the text, thinking of the sound that you're hearing, being in that moment, and I don't know if I would have gotten that same moment sitting at home on the couch watching it, compared to.
Or sitting in a recording studio where you're always
Right.
trying to make something
Yes.
perfect.
Right.
That's why we like doing the show live. because
Exactly.
Of the excitement and the
For sure.
unpredictability of it. But it's true that you come into a musical performance and you're nervous and you're anxious and you've rehearsed and you're prepared, but will it come off? Will
Right.
it reach the audience in the way that you hope?
And I tell my students, you can perform the same piece over and over, and more than likely, 95% of the time, it's going to be different. There's going to be something different about it. It could be, what's going on in your brain that day. It could be the space you're in, the audience you're singing for. And you still have to find a way to connect and present that, communicate that. Yeah, and it's just thinking about the delivery.
Yeah.
How will that come across when you're done?
It's a great adventure.
Yeah. Oh, that it is.
Great. Well, this has been a great adventure as well.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Oh,
We could talk
geez.
about music for another hour or two, but we have busy days ahead, so I'll let you go now. But with my sincere thanks for joining me here on the Albright Scholar. It's been a great half hour.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, too, for joining us. We'll see you again in the new year. In the meantime, I hope you have a very blessed holiday season and that you can discover joy in the weeks ahead and peace in the new year. We'll see you in January. So long.